Smithing! A fun way to create your own specialized weapon without needing to go out and defeat enemies and pry them from their cold, defeated fingers. All without needing to gather up lots of money and then needing to track down the right town that sells what you want to buy. But there's no such thing for armor. You either have to buy it or defeat somebody who has what you want. BannerCraft is a mod that fixes this problem by allowing you to use previously unused goods and materials to craft actual armor for yourself in the smithy. So when you're here out and about up in these northern lands or anywhere else in the world really, you hop into town and you just enter the smithy like normal. And yes indeed, you can still forge weapons, but what do we have here? We have an additional set of goods here in the list. You can still smelt things down as normal, but you can also craft. And we immediately met with this lovely crown, because you can craft any and all available pieces of armor, including those that are added by mods. So you can choose head and shoulders, anything, including bolts, banner, crossbows, bows, also bardings. My goodness, you can even make stuff for your horse, even this saddle of ANY, which is really doesn't have any armor about it, but it's apparently really good. Craft it. I botched it though, and it failed. Oh no! Well, that's what can happen when you are trying to craft something that is much too difficult for you to craft. Though you still gain XP for it. And it did take quite a bit of stamina. Stamina is still the bane of all smithing. But indeed, you don't actually have to go out and chase what it is you want, and you can find it here. I can just make myself a tailored dress, and it costs 1 linen. I'm not sure why it costs all the other things, but it does. And here we go. Crafted tailored dress. Can't rename it, but that's alright. You don't really need to name your armor. What you can also do is there is a search function, because you might have thought, well, there's a lot of armor to go through, but if you know what it's called, then you can find it on the list a lot more easily. Now let's try and craft something that's relatively decent, but within our skill range. A southern scale. Now this is a little bit more difficult than we should be able to handle, and it does cost a significant amount of resources, but oh, botched it. Next one? I think we botched it again. Right, after refining some things, because it seemed like we didn't quite have enough iron or steel. I'll try again. And this time, we managed. But because we are below the skill requirement, well, it's not as good as it could be. But if we had great skill, it could be even better. Now, obviously, it's a little bit difficult to just craft the highest tier of armor right from the get-go, because you will likely not be able to get to that level of smithing and then actually manage to craft it successfully. But other pieces of armor, like arms and feet, have a much lower difficulty at higher value. So these Highland Steel Warlord bracers, I managed to craft them just fine, but they would also not be found in the world and sold for a massively high price. Likewise, if I go into shoes and I want to craft these Highland Steel Warlord boots, they are also nice and rather easy to craft with 152 smithing. But let's say I can't find the right crossbow that I want to craft. I could go right in here and locate that I need 251 to craft this beautiful bound crossbow. A hickory one is 199, and a fine, well, arbalist is probably a bit easier. Let's see, can we craft it? We need wood. Ha! Oh well. For overpowered mod items that you add to your game, they are not also free and easy to craft. Because if we look at this Mosin Nagant M91, which has ridiculous stats, the cost and difficulty is also ridiculous. 300 difficulty, and it needs 70 Thermoskein steel, and 35 light steel, and well, for later game it wouldn't be ridiculous, but you're not going to craft this early on. You can also finally craft your favorite shields. Well, I would if I had some wood. And it's really just nice. Even bows can be found and crafted. You no longer want to wait until you have 1 million money to get these noble bows? Well, get to 200 and something smithing instead. Although the other, less overpowered bows that are not actually that much worse can also be crafted at much earlier times. Especially this good old step war bow only requires 142 skill. The mod also comes with nice and short and simple options. allows you to craft normal weapons. This is actually not ticked by default and should probably be ticked because you will probably want to craft weapons. Allows smelting other armors into materials. Well, who doesn't want to do that? The threshold for how much skill you need for an item to just not be bad. You know, sometimes when you're crafting an item that you are way overqualified for crafting and it just has flaws anyway? Well, at some point you probably shouldn't have flaws in that. And you can adjust the threshold if you want. Vanilla smelting calculations. Well, this mod actually stops Pugios and such other cheap items from providing loads and loads of high quality materials. I'm just clicking use vanilla smelting calculations on because I like buying lots of Pugios for lots of good materials to then be smelted from them. And well, if you really don't want to botch any of your smelting of armor, well, you can make it easy for yourself, put it on 0%, and you can probably just craft whatever you want. In fact, let's go test that right now. Right, we've got this lovely southern scale armor over mail, and it's way out of our league. And it's crafted! Bam, bam. Now, of course, the stats are lessened, but if you want to just allow yourself to craft some nice things, that's something you could do. It's also not worth that much, though, but still looks good. All of a sudden, your character's looking a lot more well equipped. So whether you just want a different and more interesting way of getting armor, perhaps you just don't want to fight for it, perhaps you're playing a character that doesn't do battle every day, perhaps you just want to roleplay as a smith, BannerCraft adds a nice little spice and twist to your next Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord playthrough. I think you should give it a try.